The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Mid-Carolina Service Company.
Mid-Carolina Service Company is the first name to search for your residential or commercial HVAC needs in Lexington and surrounding areas.
Just go holler at Jason and Clint. They'll hook you up on the air conditioners, on the restaurant equipment, refrigerators, refrigeration, ice machine repair. They've been doing this for years. I know them cats forever.
Family owned and operated since 2006, they pride themselves in their quality work and customer relationships. Call 803-356-4153 or visit midcarolinaserviceco.com for a no obligation quote for service today. This episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast is brought to you by the Simon Marketing Agency, turning ordinary business into extraordinary one since 2020. Simon James and his team do the hard work of attracting new customers so you can focus on making your business exceptional. As a brand marketing expert, Simon specializes in creating a unique and unforgettable identity for your business. From generating awareness to captivating content creation and strategic advertising, Simon Marketing Agency has you covered. Elevate your business today. Give them a call at 843-942-8880 or email them at simon@simon.com. Visit them at www.simonmarketing.agency. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at BrandSimonTV.
This episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Bob's. Bob's is a Columbia-based retailer of over 100 Black-owned products from 20 Black-owned businesses. Bob's offers a wide range of items from household cleaning, cosmetics, and everything in between. With every visit to Bob's, you support Black-owned businesses, giving them the opportunity to grow and establish connections with our community. Bob's is located inside the Noma warehouse at 2222 Sumter Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Visit their website, shopbobs.com for in-store pickup or to find out more. Bob's can also be found via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at We Shop Bob's. When you stop by, tell them the Hilltop Glove sent you. Bob's brings quality Black brands to the Columbia community. The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by True Brilliance Entertainment.
True Brilliance is a production, promotions, and management company dedicated to connecting artists and producers across the Carolinas to music industry professionals.
Several of their clients have placements both domestic and internationally as a result of their services.
Are you an artist or producer looking to build meaningful relationships within the music industry? Then True Brilliance is for you. Check them out at paramilitary.com. That's spelled P-A-I-R-A military.com.
Welcome to the Hilltop Glove Podcast.
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 The Hilltop Glove Podcast.
Get in there.
There
Okay.
you go. All right. 3, 2, 1. Another episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast, where we bring to you inspiring stories of people from different walks of life. Today, we're excited to have Monique Luck with us, an international award-winning artist and muralist. Monique's artwork is a beautiful blend of soulful, textured, and emotional figures that tell lyrical stories across the canvas. Her unique technique involves modeling features of figures in natural forms using fragments of found paper in a collage style with many layers. Monique has exhibited her work on several prestigious galleries and museums across the USA, including the African American Museum of Dallas, the South Carolina State Museum, and the Heinz History Center Museum in Pittsburgh. Her work as a public muralist with the Sprout Fund is featured in the PBS documentary, It's the Neighborhoods. Her most recent project, Hope Springs Forth Brightly, is a large public art installation for the city of Asheville, North Carolina, in collaboration with local artists and community members for the Celebrating African Americans Through Public Art project. Monique's public art installation, Welcoming Dreams, in Charlotte, can be viewed at the Renaissance West Community Initiative. Her artwork can also be found at the Harvey B. Gantt Center Museum in Charlotte. She is truly an exceptional artist whose work is both inspiring and thought-provoking. We are honored to have her on our podcast today to share her journey and insights with our listeners. How are you doing today?
Hey, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yeah.
Do you like how your bio sounded?
It was going on for a long time. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
there's
you
a lot of
realize you
stuff
did all
there.
that, did you?
I forget sometimes. Yeah.
Man, you're in the midst of it. You're experiencing it. You don't
Yeah.
think about it like that. And I was just like, I know when we got to speak with you today, I was like, wow, we get to speak with her. She wants to come talk to us. Does she know that who we are and what we do? And I was just hoping that, we wouldn't be beneath you. And it's weird to think about it like that, but sometimes
Oh
I
my
do always tell my
goodness.
brother that. I'm
No.
like, these people really want to speak with us.
No, I'm
Not that we're
honored.
bad folks, but
I'm honored. This is my very first podcast, so I hope
seriously,
I don't mess anything up.
after all the work you've done, this is the first time you've been on the
Seriously,
podcast?
I've been in a lot of different other things, but not like a podcast. So I'm honored.
Excellent. Well, this is a pretty free
Pretty
space.
amazing.
You're allowed to speak how you want to speak.
Okay.
We don't have any filter on this, but we are not going to be extremely demonstrative in any negative ways. I will tell you that. We do
Okay.
hold ourselves to standard. But like I always like to tell people to start, huh? I know, that's why I said. I told her before. I tried to tell her. Okay, we're going to do a good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one of the things we always like to tell or start off with our guests, just for our audience, our show is for millennials who are attempting to learn how to be themselves and how to be professionals in whatever world they're in, the inroads and the back roads of what's going on. And it always starts with this question. Who are you and what influenced you as a child to choose this career path? Where are you from?
Wow, that's a great question. So I'm from a lot of places. I
Okay.
was born in California, so it's
Okay.
something you may not know about me. So I got my art start, and I started just always coloring and drawing and doing all kinds of things. And my mom, one day, when I was in kindergarten, she saw like all this art from all the kids, and we had a little book put together. And so she started kind of flipping through, and then she saw my work, and she's like, I think she's going to be an artist. So from that moment on,
So
yes.
you look a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love that story. So yeah, ever since then. So I don't know if there ever was a specific moment that I said, wow, this is going to be my career. I think I've always dreamt that I was going to get to do it. But sometimes you don't believe that you can actually do it. So I'm literally pinching myself all the time now just to
See
be
if
like,
you're really awake.
this is really
real.
happening. Yeah.
Where from in California?
I'm Pasadena.
Be quiet. Is that where most of your family's from?
So a lot of them have migrated outside of West Coast, kind of moving over into like Arizona. But yeah, so family there, and I have family in Ohio, Midwest. So I also have some Midwest background.
Okay.
And Pittsburgh, I am a Steeler fan.
No, I saw that in there, and I didn't want to say anything.
Yes, I am a
I'm
Steeler
a
fan.
Patriots fan, and we may have to speed
I
this
know.
interview up a little bit. But no,
It's
I'm
fine.
teasing. You're good all day.
That's
You're
all
good
good,
with me
yeah.
all day.
But yeah, so Pittsburgh. And so Pittsburgh is really where I really began the actual art career part
Okay.
when I started working in public art.
So that's where you were
Yeah.
building your chops as a professional, making a check.
That's a beautiful city too.
It is. Yeah.
People don't understand how. Yeah, that's it. Oh, could you expound on that? How your love for the city and what makes Pittsburgh beautiful to you? Because that's a weird thing to say to some people. They're like, "What, Pittsburgh beautiful?"
Because it used to be horrible in
Yeah.
like 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Right. Nasty.
This is why I'm saying, like, they don't.
Right.
You wouldn't think that is a city that you would call beautiful. Could you explain what, in your opinion or in your mind, makes Pittsburgh a beautiful city?
I think if you've never actually entered the city, there's a special place you can come in from, and it's a tunnel. And you come through this tunnel, and all of a sudden the city just like is right in front of you. It's just so impressive. So I always tell people you've got to enter or go visit Pittsburgh kind of through the tunnel, and then you're going to see it. But the city has a lot of heart.
Mhm.
And like I said, when I first got started, I was just a nobody. I had no knowledge of anything. I'm like, I just want to learn how to, do some murals, or, let me hang out and meet some people. And one day I saw something in the Creative Loafing paper that they had there in Charlotte, and it said something about the Sprout Fund, and it said something about murals. And I was like, maybe I can be like an assistant and help somebody out. And I was like,
Humbleness.
Yeah.
You're so humble.
I was like,
I'm just getting your humble vibe.
yeah, I was like, let
it.
me be an assistant so I can, learn how to do murals. And then my friends and I together applied, and we ended up winning. And I was like, oh no, what are we going to do? Like, I don't know how to do this. So, but we figured it out, and we were up there painting. And that's when I got my first start into public artwork. And from that moment, I would say each project has led me to something else. So there's never been one thing. It's been, each one is something else. So that's how that's why Pittsburgh has a little soft spot. And in fact, believe it or not, those murals are still there.
I was about to ask. I
Yeah.
see that you have permanent installation.
Yep. They're still there.
You got to be pretty badass for them to let you make. Because imagine, because I'm gonna put it like this: like as children, we learn you cannot draw on the wall, you cannot do this, you don't do that. I'm gonna wipe it off. I'm gonna get my glue on, and I'm gonna wipe it off. But they'd be given the okay that what you're doing can stay on that wall.
Please legally tag us.
Yeah. How is it? I had to ask you this question because that was one thing that caught me,
Yeah.
because you do like large murals. What made you want to do large murals? Because you don't seem like a tagger.
No, I don't. Like I said, I didn't. I just wanted to learn how to do them. I didn't know that I was going to end up doing it.
Wow.
So that's why it's a pretty scary thing when you're entrusted with, a wall or
Yeah.
a space to create. And so I think each time I'm still a little nervous,
real?
hope people
You
like
get
it.
performance anxiety.
Yeah. Well, when you're out there painting, people are just, have conversations with you. A lot of them are very like intrigued by, what's happening. But now a lot of the work I do is just in my studio space. So I'm not always out like in public as much doing the work. A lot of it is very, it's fragile because I'm using little pieces of paper and little wings and little things, objects I find and things like that. So it's a little bit of a different process
And
in
could
the
you
studio.
explain a little bit of the process of your studio art? Because I would assume then, of course, with murals being something that you fell into,
hmm
that wasn't your first passion. Of course, if you could just explain some of your first passions and modes or mediums of art that you created and how you got into your layering. your
Right.
collage
The
work.
collage. What I found is kind of fell into collage. And I always tell people I fell in love with collage. And what happened is I was teaching in Pittsburgh, and we were working with several different groups of students, and I was working with them in a collage.
hmm
And they were having so much fun. And I was just wrapping up one of the big murals, and I was like actually really tired of painting. Like I was like, I need a break from painting. I need to do something else. And so because they were having so much fun with their collage, I said, let me just play around with this, just do this for myself, just for fun. And then I just like,
Yeah.
I can't explain what
It's
happened.
different, ain't it?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I said, I fell in love with collage, and so from that moment on, I will look for found paper images. I find a lot of images I do take myself.
Really?
I'll take the photos and kind of
Processing?
cross them in there. Yeah, just a little bit of everything, anything I can get my hands on, kind of what I stick in those collages. So
It does feel like the art space right now is like mixed medium is like that's the happening
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like I don't know why, but maybe it's just kind of like
I think it's because like
the
we're
consumer junk culture.
that's what I was
kind
about
of
to say.
thing.
We're recycling the
Yeah.
stuff that we have thrown away.
Yeah.
hmm
And it's
Well, and
cool.
you're finding like meaning in
Mhm.
something that somebody put meaning in, and then it's been, it
Mhm.
was about to be discarded. Now you grabbed it and saved that meaning and brought
Save
it back. I don't know. I,
Do you feel like you're resurrecting things when you do that type of work?
I don't know if I thought of it in that way before. I
Yeah.
think it's just finding a new use for something. And it's when I have all these little pieces of paper and I have things everywhere, it's interesting because it's like a giant puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And I have like stuff where I know exactly where that one little piece where it
Crazy.
goes. And so you might walk into my studio and you're gonna look at it and you're gonna be like, it looks like a bomb went off in here.
where'd my wing go?
Yeah, exactly. No, for real. That's exactly how it is. So in that sense, maybe I am resurrecting it a little bit. Because otherwise it would just be in the trash.
That's how I look at
Yeah.
it when I see that stuff. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have thrown that away. I'm bad. I was like, ooh, we trashed that and get that out of here real
Yeah.
quick. But to find somebody who can take and turn that into an expression, that's amazing, man. And I guess this is a Tamaya question. I wish Tamaya was here to ask this.
Oh,
and this is
okay.
the reason why, because
All right.
this is what she does. She loves this stuff. And I know I wouldn't be able to ask this question without her understanding, but what is your design process and how do you determine how many layers to include within each piece?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So It depends on the project,
Mm.
So if I'm working on, I always start with a concept. And a lot of times the idea will be living in my brain or my head for a long time. And then I might write a little note about it. So a lot of times I have these ideas already kind of going. But once I get the concept down, then I will, at that point, start with the sketch, kind of sketch it out a little bit. And then I start looking for pieces of paper, and I start looking, or I start painting textural on paper and canvas and cutting them up. And then I'll look for some fabric or something, or get those photographs going. And then a lot of times what's really important is the words that I also put into the artwork. That's something that's very inspiring to me. And I feel like it gives the piece energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's especially depending on what piece I'm doing. I work on so many different projects. So it just depends, depends on which word happens to inspire that piece. So
That reminds me of like whenever I see folks who do mixed media and they use like words or letters on their art. It reminds me of like a good DJ who wants to cut something, and so they listen through all these records, find a phrase where somebody says something like "get up on the good foot" or whatever it is, right? And they put it into the art, and you don't realize how much of an effect it makes in the production. There's this gentleman. He recently moved to Charlotte. His name is I Am Lakem, and he's a great DJ in the sense, just almost like Mad Lib, and taking things and chopping them up and finding the parts to make a song out of disparate pieces. And that's what you do, in my opinion. When I was looking at your work, it's like, oh, she's a great DJ. She takes disparate parts.
DJ.
Yeah,
That's a
visual
good way to
DJ.
look at it. Yeah, I like
And
that.
she chops it up and she puts it together in a way that I can consume it and also get my own understanding from it. And that is so dope. And I don't know if you think about yourself in that manner, but because when those people put together those projects, I was thinking about with you, it's like, I know she doesn't do it in 2 hours.
Oh no.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like, there has to be, and like, so you're creating a life force, and almost like your baby's being created. You're doing all this work and putting this stuff together to put out those pieces. So I always recognize, and it's almost in a way like I appreciate that work more because I understand the work and the depth that takes to do that. Because my brother Skip and I, we used to go all the time. And I'm telling you, you'll buy 20, 30 records and probably only use 4 of them.
Wow.
One track an album if you're lucky.
Say it, yeah, well, yeah.
It's probably,
if you're
probably
lucky,
like
that much time, and you're like, "Ooh, I like that snare, I like that hat, or I like what they said here," and you realize how important it is to get that in your process of creation. And so, for you, visually trying to grab those same things to get across, like you said, your concept that you designed before you went into the design, that stuff's amazing. So, with that being said, do you place hidden messages in your artwork?
Yes.
Oh yes,
Totally.
That's what artists do.
I mean, yeah.
Do you have any particular hidden messages that stand out, or things that you remember? Like, yeah, I know why I was doing that, and I made sure they got it in there.
Yeah.
Could you share some of them if it's okay?
I'm trying to think about what I can share. No. Okay. So here's one I would do often, and I will always hide a little butterfly in my work. There's always a butterfly wing. When I mentioned the wings before, it'll be an image of a butterfly. My dad gave me a bunch of butterfly wings, and I use them in the artwork too. So I always hide a little butterfly in there. So that's something I can share. Yeah.
So that's the Where's Waldo of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So for good.
Yeah.
And Miss Lux.
You can find it.
Find that butterfly. Ooh, this is a game now. That's a game. Let's check this out. Okay. All right. That's cool to know. And of course, do you have, I'm not going to say that you have to choose or that you should have a favorite or anything like this, but with the amount of work that you've done with installations, some of them being murals and other things, of course, being stuff that come out of the studio, do you have a favorite to do? Do you like to do the mural? Like, do you have a season where it's like, yo, this is mural season, I want to do murals. And then your studio season where you're like, I want to be in my studio producing art. And how is that affected by the weather and the season?
Yeah. Well, I would say since I haven't been doing as many I guess last year I did a major outdoor mural. And so it was pretty hot. So yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was pretty hot.
You live in the South now.
Yeah. It was, there was some moments there where like, wow, it's really hot. So I would say, just hoping it doesn't rain on you, that kind of stuff, just the obvious stuff. But for my studio work, I'm always working in the studio. So I'm constantly designing. So I would just say I'm just always in there. I hope I answered the question properly. But
You did.
Okay.
Like when we talk to artists, like everybody's. I think part of what artists like the thing of being an artist is that there's these concepts or whatever that like are difficult to understand or manage or communicate to people. Yeah. So everybody's usually like, there's always something that they're taking apart right now. What are you taking apart right now? What are you playing with?
Well, I guess that's to think about that. I just finished up a residency at the McCall Center with Jackie Shelton Green and we are kind of taking apart her poem, Communion of White Dresses. And so we're kind of playing with it, kind of found each other in the words. And so we're doing a collaboration together. And so I'm going to be doing a series of paintings based on that poem. So that's kind of
that's dope.
that we're doing right now.
I love that crossover, especially if you got people from different mediums working on it. Because it's like for y'all to actually do a piece together. Like you say, you got to find each other in the words and the void, whatever. You got to find each other, and then so now you've already made a connection of two before you try to reach anybody else. It's fun stuff. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It's gonna be good.
I have a real regular question.
Okay.
When you're out there, like doing a mural outside, and you're thirsty, bring you water.
You know what? This is a great segue for something. So sometimes, yes, I would get people bringing me water. The one mural I did, I was right by Starbucks. So they basically gave us like free coffee the whole time, which was great. And then I had one lady, she would come up and bring me apples. She'd be like, oh, here's a green apple for you.
Aww.
And I'm like, thank you. And it was just bring me stuff.
You know why I asked
local
that?
muralist.
You know why I asked that, Mike? Because like she's making public good.
Oh yeah.
Because you're beautifying the environment, and so like I would see that person like, here, man, have something to drink. I see you working hard. It's like when you see somebody out mowing a lawn or something like that. You're like, you want some lemonade or something? That's what I was wondering if people ever come up and they show their gratitude to you.
Yeah,
That's like showing gratitude.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's been some really interesting things out there.
What kind of interactions do you have with the humans?
Oh, it's just it's fun. I'll tell you this. This was kind of a tough one. I remember my friend and I had worked on the second mural together, and it was giant. It was like 2,000 square feet or whatever. It was huge. This was back. I was doing old school like painting, and I wasn't doing the spray paint. We're just out there doing it. Yeah. Anyway, we had finished it, and then there people kept coming up saying, "Oh, who designed this? Or who drew it?" And we're like, "We're literally drawing it." Yeah. Like it was almost as if they believe that we did it.
Well, I think sometimes that happens now in public art spaces. Like people will just reproduce something that's given to them, and then it's almost like art students doing it.
Yeah,
almost, like it's not. But I mean, I don't think you get so much funding for those type of things. It's more like a cheap little. Yeah. But this is the better way to do it. So you actually got real artists.
So they were questioning your ability to draw and paint.
They just thought it was a color by numbers.
You?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Whoa, that's weird. Hey, and another question based off of that line of reasoning. How do you? And this is just break this down for me because I'm a simpleton when it comes to this.
Okay. How do you
draw something at such a scale and not make mistakes?
There's always mistakes in there. You just can't. You just don't notice them. Maybe yeah. There's always mistakes.
So there's like, all right, and you know why I asked that because when you step back and we look at it, right, it looks like you did everything perfect. You put all the lines in place where they need to be. Everything ought to be where it should be. And for us, I never knew that there would be mistakes. Do you all ever say that there's a mistake?
Of course. Do
you tell yourself?
I don't tell myself, no.
So why gotta let you know? It works to me.
No, but I think, well, with collage, I really don't think you can mess it up, really. I mean, that's what I tell my students whenever I'm teaching is like, you can't mess it up. No, this is art. You can't. But I know for me, I'm also kind of a perfectionist on certain things.
That's
so
why I'm asking.
Yeah, so I'll be like, or there'll be that one little piece of paper I'm missing.
Not the way you wanted it to be.
Right. Yeah. So there's
it still looks great.
There's stuff I can go back and work on right now and just try to fix if I wanted to.
You really think about like, all right, blow my mind on this.
Uh-huh.
Blew my mind. All right, because I don't work with visual art or anything like that. But I have worked with music. And so I always think about music. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I want to switch this out. I want to change this phrasing. I want to
Mhm.
make sure that this section is different,
Mhm.
transition or whatnot.
Mhm.
Never think about that with art. Can you so with your art, you think about things you can go back and fix
Mhm.
or change?
Mhm.
And do you change them?
Sometimes I've gone into pieces and kind of reworked them a little bit.
For
Yeah.
real?
Yeah.
Do you think about like you know how you get to save something on a hard drive? Do you think about, okay, I saved this on a hard drive. Let me go back and edit this a little real quick. Go back and save it again.
Do you sign when you finished?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Oh.
Some people use that as like they're like, now that I've signed it, I'm not allowed to change it because like for me, like
Yeah.
it'll be 20 years later and I'll drive past a logo on a building. I'll be like, shit,
Not good.
I really need to fix that bird. Like,
So I do sign it and then I go back and work on it a little bit. I have done that,
okay.
but I also haven't. I don't sign it. Obviously, it's not like I have to sign
yeah.
it
So
in the back or something. So
Ah.
yeah, I used to sign on the front, but now I sign on the back.
Now, when you're teaching students, right? Like what's like, I guess 3 things or ideals that you teach them around art that you can explain to our audience so that they can understand a little bit of your teaching path when it comes to art? Because this is one of like an art teacher, right? You're an art teacher, right? You're teaching people art, how to do art, but you really can't teach them to do art.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I would say it's more I spend a lot of time with the community engagements and we do a
Okay.
lot of workshops. So
Mhm.
in that sense, I'm teaching. I don't know if I'm actually like teaching, but I'm
Yeah.
kind of leading and guiding through like a workshop. And I always want people to kind of be intuitive with it,
Mhm.
because like you have to kind of pick the colors you like or the images that you like or the words that you like. So I usually have them start off with like, pick 3 colors, pick 3 words and 3 images just to make it simple, just to get started as
Yeah.
a building block. And then from there, it's so much fun when you're sitting around doing collage together, and especially in the
Yeah.
community, and people just start talking, you start having these really interesting conversations that come up, and nobody really wants to end it. They want to keep going
I
on
was
it, which is
about to
fun.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. That's how you know you're doing your job.
Right.
That's how you're engaging the person that you are in pedagogy with, and they're allowing to explore themselves.
Mhm.
And are there like in those situations, right? Do you notice or can you tell when you've hit that proper vibe when you're like, yo, everything's running? Do you just walk away and watch them and observe, or do you just participate?
I think I let them roll with it, and then I just kind of pop in and be like, "Hey, what's going on over here? What does it look like?" And they get really into it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
might give a suggestion or something, but
See,
yeah,
that's why I asked.
yeah.
Because like as somebody who is doing this professionally, like when you see folks working on things and you see that there's things that they could do better, do you care about letting them know, or do you think it's not necessary for you to bother their flow?
Yeah, I let them just go with it, like, especially for these kind of projects.
Yeah, there's no
Just
reason to.
yeah. I
Yeah.
want them. I want to see what their expression is, and then that's what helps to inspire me for a lot of the work that I end up doing.
Mm.
So by having these conversations and little fun working workshops, I get inspiration from them, and then their artwork oftentimes ends up into the collages that I do.
Be quiet.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Stop the front door.
it's
For
like
real.
when you take a piece
Mhm.
and just include it whole, or you slice it up and sacrifice
Slice
it.
it up and sacrifice it.
I love that about the
That was
collage kind
cool.
of style as an
Yeah,
artist
yeah,
because like you could just put so much energy into this thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
That's what we had.
literally sacrifice that you're.
It is.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
Mhm.
dope.
sacrifice. Is there, especially the community coming from, et cetera, could you just explain to our audience the importance of a visual artist in our community and how you all contribute to society in your words?
Let me think about that. I just think that looking at art being able to engage with art in a public way is really important. Just because I've talked about this before, but it's people oftentimes don't always get to go to the gallery necessarily,
Very true.
so then they can actually engage with something outside, outdoors, or maybe you're just driving along and you see something and it kind of lifts your spirits, and
Mhm.
you don't even notice, you didn't realize that you needed that day. So art, and it's also has a lot of messages in there.
Mm.
So I think it's very impactful and it's very important to have art seen visually, publicly. And I think there's so many fantastic artists here in the city of Charlotte. And I love seeing all the artwork that's going up, and it's really cool.
How do you think the community has grown since you've joined the community here in Charlotte? And do you think there are ways in which it could be improved?
I think you can always have more. That's
Okay,
one way you
that's
can
a
do
good
it. You
answer.
can always
Yeah,
have
have
more.
Paint
more.
everything. It's
Yeah,
fine.
paint it all up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think
There's some
there's
pretty trash cans.
yeah. There's no limit. So yeah.
Now, if you had it your way,
Oh no.
and you could put and you could put as much money into it or whatever it was, what kind of program would you create for art in Charlotte?
Oh no. I think what I would do is I would want to put together like maybe I could do like a little team, where we get with the graphic designer and get with just some local artists, and we can work together to show people how you can how you can get into the public art. Because I think a lot of things like they get kind of intimidated, like, how can I apply? What can I do? So and I think it might be kind of a nice way to show how a graphic designer is important to get the scaling right and the right imagery and how you can collaborate with them and kind of show people how you can do that. So then I would have a studio at the top,
like
and then you said I can do whatever. So
Yeah, whatever you want.
and then so then below will be a gallery where I'll have like other artists that come through, and then we'll have like the whole public art team project. I don't know. Now you've got me thinking.
That's what I wanted to do.
I need to
you
start
know
coming
why?
up with some.
You go into a spot and just clean it up. All of
Clean-
a sudden, now the property value
Yeah.
is up. Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
point in
Well,
this, is
yeah.
because what the stuff that you do, especially we're talking about public art,
Right,
one
right.
reason why we want to have you on here is because what it does for a community. You can take a community that is being poorly used, poorly situated, and you can take it and literally turn it around and make it into something beautiful where, like I said, people want to live, they're going to want to be there, and et cetera. And artists are extremely dynamic in this. And what I always think is funny, you all are never consulted when it comes in time to make decisions in how a community is being designed or where things are going or how we're setting stuff up or zoning or anything. They never go and say, hey, let's go talk to the artist. I'm like, those are the people, they design stuff. Like, an architect is an artist. Like, you should always consult them, in my opinion. And so to have an artist in front of me that does public art, I'm asking you questions that I wouldn't get to normally ask somebody.
All right.
So it makes me feel good to ask these questions because I want to see what you think about it. And I guess another question I do have, because we actually in Columbia, we have this weird situation of the inability to have proper galleries. How would you explain it? Proper galleries and funding.
I think the art scene in Columbia is bigger than the art venues in Columbia. And that's just like, and maybe it's part of that growth from up north, and maybe it's part of like that there's a lot of people that want to see Columbia more like Greenville or Asheville or whatever. But and then like Columbia's doing a lot in public art too, but sometimes I feel like and we know some mural artists out there in the community really good. And so like you walk past these pieces and they're thought-provoking and the community is talking about them and people are like, yo, did you see that one? But then I see a lot of public art, especially in the statue sculpture world right now in Columbia and other places, that I feel like they just generically pick something out of a catalog and
this
then
is
pay
what he
for
was
it.
trying to talk about earlier.
Right.
It's for real. Like,
And I'm not, I don't want to talk bad about it because maybe it really is, and I
it
just don't
is.
get it. But
Yeah,
it also just kind of feels to me like, shoot, let's just like really grab people that are doing stuff because that's what we're trying to. But it's like, if you're always wanting to beautify and raise the property values and make people happy-go-lucky when they drive past, that's not the thought-provoking pieces.
Nah.
So
some of them other ones make you think internally about certain things, even inequalities. I know in Charleston they have great public art pieces that make you think about slavery or et cetera, and it's necessary to have them, right? And I guess the reason why I wanted to chime in on this is, or to hone on this point, is because what is the importance to you, and even you too, Mike, on this one? This is a question for y'all about galleries, actual art galleries, and access to art galleries as opposed to just public spaces. Because yes, we can have the public art and that's there and it's a great thing, but being able to have galleries is important too, because in galleries you can also have those thought-provoking art pieces and those things that do bring out great spirit in people. But for a lot of us, we don't have access to galleries. We can't, it's either not in our neighborhood or we can't pay to access it.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, to not have that in your life, it kind of takes a little bit of, it takes the quality of life away from you, because people don't realize, I think art's important. My father, he always expressed to us that it's important to have art. He would like to take photography and etc. And he always expressed that to us. So in our minds, we always we'll go to an art gallery, we'll go look at this. It was something that was taught in our culture, in our community, to go do. But if it's not available or accessible, then people will forget about it. And this is an issue we have in Columbia. That's why I brought it up. I'm not sure if you see that here in Charlotte, but as somebody who works in both areas, what is your idea of the importance of those galleries?
I think they're important too. I think it's a different way to kind of speak on a subject, especially if the curator is choosing like a really interesting theme for the exhibition. I think it's important to have a space to be able to have conversations. So I don't know. I think here in Charlotte, we see a lot. We do have wonderful galleries here too, which is great. Just going back to the public art part of it is just, it's there for people to see it, so they don't have to, they can just go see it any time, any place, So that's what I think. I just lean to public art just because of that reason.
Yeah.
It's more accessible for everybody.
And to me, gallery spaces, I mean, they are about selling the art.
Yeah.
And I love art. At no point do I have the liquid available assets to purchase any of the artists that I am impressed by.
I can't afford my own art. So
Right.
See, I was going to ask you, as an artist, can you afford your own art?
I can't afford my own art. No.
Before you go make it real quick.
That's why I was asking this question, because I know like the galleries are important because we have to let you all live, need you to eat, and your public art ain't paying you most of the time, unless it's usually a one-time thing. It's not something that you get to keep repetitively selling. It would be
But Charlotte is bank money.
Yeah.
Columbia
this
is university and
difference.
government.
Yeah.
And so that like we do have industry and some corporate stuff there, but like it's a different pool of money in Charlotte. And it's people that like would invest in art. Whereas I feel like Columbia atmosphere is more people that appreciate art and might be justifying it because it's an investment.
Yeah.
But the reason that I am not an artist is because that whole making money off of your art thing has just always been like cringy to me. And like I never wanted to learn that gallery game, which is weird now because it's looking like, God, that gallery game needs to happen, but it's like I'm not the one to help pick it up.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that's an important thing? Like, I mean, you have to survive. Like,
yeah, it's. I think if you have to get into the right gallery, the right fit too.
Have you found one?
I'm not directly represented by a specific gallery, like in the sense where I have my work in different places and different galleries. But I was represented at one point, and then I had like a weird experience where we just kind of it just ended up not working. And so from that point on, I always just kind of represented myself. So I am in different galleries for different exhibitions sometimes and different things, but not like for example, you can go to the Harvey Gantt Center and like in the museum store, have work there.
Do you have somebody that manages that stuff, or you just kind of do it yourself? Or?
I'm my own manager.
Okay. Some of the people outsource because that's a lot to have to like, keep track of what's where and who's got it and how long. And
yeah, you do. Yeah. But I have had great experiences working with curators and galleries too. So I don't know. I think that's why when I said you have to have the right fit, I just think you and the curator or the gallery has to have a good fit and have it make sense for you. But
do you enjoy managing yourself?
No, just kidding.
Oh, okay, to be honest, I said no, please.
Sometimes it would be nice to not have to do it all, but at the same time, I mentioned before, a little bit of a perfectionist, so then I would probably end up micromanaging. So
the manager.
So I just
then the manager would run away. They'd be afraid.
Right. Exactly.
Like, oh,
exactly. But it has a lot of moving parts, especially with a lot of project deadlines I have, and you want to make sure you hit those dates and all that stuff. So you have to I have to like hold myself accountable to make sure I can get the work done in time and hit the deadlines and create.
I'm gonna throw
art on deadline.
Art on deadline. Look, no, seriously. I'm gonna ask you seriously. I'm gonna ask you one of our old questions because The reason why is because I
Okay.
think it actually feeds right into what you're talking about. Time management. How important is time management to you specifically since you're your own manager? And do you have a lot to do today?
Well, I will be going to my studio after this. Yeah, I would say time management is extremely important. And it's difficult because as a creative, I also like to do things on my own timing as well. Because you can't just be like, oh, let me start painting now. Like you can't. So I have to have the right vibe and be in the right space. So it's just a balancing act. I have to really manage. But yeah, you will see me, I'll be up all night painting or working. And often I usually hit those deadlines like right on time, like right before there's this crazy like deadline mode that you go through.
Yeah.
And then and then somehow it happens and I get the art done.
I'm done.
I know.
Oh, it worked out. Oh my God, it's so great. Why did I ever not want to do this?
Right. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, it came out great. Yay. And then you start over in the next one. And then you have to remind myself, like, how did I do that again? I don't remember. So
is it what do they call it? Is it a muse thing? Is it something that just takes over you?
I don't know. It's hard to explain it. I don't know.
Do you ever record yourself while you work?
I do sometimes. I do some time lapse.
Okay.
I'll post time lapse on my social media sometimes. So
That's why I asked that.
Yeah, you'll see a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like to do that? Is that like out of choice or is it because you need content?
I'm not doing it for content, but then at the same time, I guess I do need content. So I guess it's both, right?
Sure.
But it is fun to document that sometimes. So it's cool. I like to see how it progresses. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I've been sitting here for, 8 hours and I did get somewhere. It's so time consuming.
I think
sometimes we used to film stuff and not worry about it being content.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, did you see this cool thing I did?
Let's watch it. Look. Because I always like to say sometimes the Holy Ghost hits you.
Right.
And I want to see what I look like when the Holy Ghost hit me. Like, what am I doing? What is this looking like? So that's why I asked that question. Man, it's been very interesting speaking with you today. Another thing I wanted to point out, because I thought this is interesting, is I see that, because no one knows about this place. So I want to know, you got to tell me how you got here. You ready?
Yeah.
You have a selected exhibit per your page in Lake City, South Carolina. Who, what, where, and how?
Well, that was with Art Fields.
Yeah.
That's a big place for art there.
Yeah.
Big city.
It's amazing when you get to be part of that experience. It's just blows your mind when you go down there. You see all the work.
Because people don't know about Lake City.
Yeah, it's adorable with all the art.
Oh. No, because we grew up. I lived in Marion and in Mullins,
Okay.
and so when people talk about little places like that, I'm like, oh, how did it get there?
That was kind of like an invented thing, right? Like they just kind of developed that, and they were like, we're gonna make nice houses, and we're gonna make it an art place, and we're gonna do this festival, and then it just kind of happened. It
became a big marketing thing, and that also helped with tourism, so that they can bring economy there. Because imagine that economy was based off of tobacco planting.
Yeah, that's that old money.
And trains. And so when that stuff went away, they had to find a new way to do it.
They did.
And what saved them? Art.
Art saves.
So is that what it is?
Art saves.
The money in South Carolina is just not necessarily in the capital city.
Yes,
it's just out in the countryside where people have acreage.
Yep.
That makes sense.
They don't come back to the city.
Yeah.
But that was an awesome way to end it. And that's why I wanted to hear, because art does save. And that's why I want to keep pressing on this whole thing, the importance of art in our communities and how it can literally make the community a better place. Before we, it does. Seriously,
it feels better. Yeah.
It does. But before we close up, I do want you to let us know what you're working on, what's coming up. And then, of course, to drop all your social medias and let people know how they can get in contact with you if you would like them to.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you again for having me. This has been amazing.
I liked it.
Yeah. This is good. Now I can check this off my list now. Like
to-do list done.
No. So yeah, I'm working on. I've got some things cooking. I've got some public art coming soon.
Hey.
Because we know it does save, and we got to keep it going.
Yeah.
And then I have my Communion of White Dresses with Jackie Shelton Green exhibition coming up. That will be in the fall at the Mint Museum. So.
Dope.
It's going to be pretty fun. It'll be a little bit different
from what you
It's specifically going to be for that project. Yeah. Instagram Monique Luck Art.
And also you have
I also have a website, moniqueluckart.com.
Because what do you got there on the website? Things to purchase. Please pay this young
Oh.
lady. I'll get her some money. She's worth it. She's worth it.
Support your local artists.
Yeah, man.
Thank
must.
you.
Certainly. But from the Hilltop Glove podcast, this is DJ and what?
Mike.
And behind the scenes. There he is. And of course, our esteemed guest, Monique Luck. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy that you came onto our podcast for the first time to be on the podcast. Makes us feel good about ourselves that you even wanted to be here. That sounds horrible. Like I'm talking like I'm being pejorative to ourselves, but at the same time, you're excellent, man. And the things that you're doing here in the community and the fact that you're here on our community. Thank you so much. You're blessing our area to make sure our region is getting some good, uplifting spirit feeling here, man. I mean, it's something that we need. So I always like the people that come here and stay here and ingratiate themselves with us. So anytime you want to come on our podcast, you're definitely welcome. If you want to come and share things that you have going on, et cetera, please do. Also use us as a horn to get out your information. Send us whatever you got coming up. We're going to make sure that we post it, get out to our folks so that way they can come and visit. We do have a lot of folks that listen to us here in Charlotte, and we'd love to be of assistance to you if we can.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So signing off, please tell somebody next to you that you love them, that you care for them, that you cherish them. And we will see you on the next episode of the Hilltop Globe Podcast.
The Hilltop Glove Podcast.